Coming up on today's show, as Tesla's share price remains high, another stock split is proposed ahead of a vote this summer. Lotus unveils what it says is the world's first electric hypercar SUV, and Aptera becomes the latest automaker to ditch the steering wheel for a yoke. These stories and more coming next. Welcome back to TEN, or Transport Evolved News. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell, as well as making sure you've set your alert preferences on your mobile phone or browser, and hopefully you'll be told when our next video goes live. Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport and get the help you need to finance your own clean energy or EV future. Before we start today, thank you to all of the positive comments from yesterday's April Fool's Day video about us ditching all of our gear and going to mobile phones. It was a fun video to make, and no, nobody has been fired. Thanks to continued growth and increasing profits, Tesla's share price has continued to trend upwards this year, with current prices at the time of recording peaking at over $1,000 per share. And that's led Tesla to submit paperwork to the SEC this week, proposing it executes a stock split, the second in 2 years. For those who don't know, a stock split is, as the name suggests, a splitting of existing shares into multiple equal parts, with existing shareholders getting a proportionally equivalent number of shares issued to them after the split as they held before it. While this will mean each post-split Tesla share will be worth less than the pre-split Tesla share price, there will be more shares in circulation, and ultimately, I think the price of Tesla's shares is likely to continue to rise. The stock split proposal will be voted on by existing shareholders this summer. As gas prices continue to remain high as the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia becomes ever more bloody, there's an increasing amount of pressure on governments around the world to transition from fossil fuels to electric vehicles. And while the US is a net exporter of fossil fuels, President Joe Biden is said to be readying an invocation of the Defense Production Act to increase the amount of raw materials available for renewable energy projects and electric vehicles, as well as expanding domestic fossil fuel extraction at the same time. Signed into law in 1950 in response to the Korean War, the Defense Production Act gives the president authority to require businesses to accept and prioritize contracts for materials deemed necessary for national defense, and it allows the president to prohibit price gouging of those materials. If invoked, it could pave the way for more domestic mining and refining of materials used in EV batteries, minimizing current production bottlenecks. Aside from kickstarting the modern electric car revolution, Tesla's impacts on the automotive industry haven't been limited to scaring rivals into playing catch-up. And this week we learned that some of the production techniques that Tesla has utilized to increase its output and to decrease production costs, namely heavily roboticized production lines and single-piece parts casting, are now being copied by rivals. Which ones? Volkswagen. It's going to be using Gigacasting machines similar in size to Tesla's massive Model Y Gigacast machines to help it bring its brand new Project Trinity EVs to market. It's also working hard to minimize the number of components in each car to cut complexity and costs. While we don't have a name of any of the Project Trinity cars yet, a brand new production facility is being planned that will cost Volkswagen $2.2 billion. For as long as modern electric vehicles have been produced and sold, there have been a significant number of myths and misconceptions surrounding battery life bandied about. Not helped by some bad news battery stories like Nissan Leaf premature battery aging and LG battery energy fires, these misconceptions often revolve around the notion that electric vehicle batteries have a lifespan of just a couple of years and then require replacement at a cost of tens of thousands. But former Tesla CTO and founder of Redwood Materials, JB Straubel, stated this week in an interview that he believes most modern EV battery packs will last 15 years or more with an energy storage of more than 80% of their original capacity before they need recycling or replacement. Given JB's company specializes in battery recycling, his verdict is one that carries a lot of credibility. Think of Lotus and the chances are you either think of the work Lotus did to help bring the Tesla Roadster to market, or the incredible Lotus-badged versions of everyday cars that were popular in Europe in the 1980s. Or perhaps the company's long heritage of niche market sports cars and racing cars, not SUVs. Yet, this week, Lotus revealed the Eletre, a vehicle which is not only the company's first SUV, but the company's first all-electric SUV. Revealed at a special event at the BBC TV Centre in West London, the Eletre is being hailed by the brand as being the world's first hyper-SUV EV and promises an all-wheel drivetrain with more than 440 kilowatts at the wheels and a sub-3-second sprint time. The car's 100-plus kilowatt-hour battery pack features 350 kilowatt DC quick charging capability and a target range of 600 kilometres. That's around 373 miles. There's no price listed yet, but well, the four-seat styling of this vehicle, while different for Lotus, is not particularly stunning. Frankly, what caught our eye more was the aerial ballet and 5-minute live-action telling of the story of Lotus, which was very different. EV advocates have been saying for decades that moving the world's fleet away from fossil fuels and toward electric vehicles would have dramatic effects on people's health. But now a report from the American Lung Association has put some facts and figures into that assertion. It's just published Zeroing on Health Air report that shifting towards electric vehicles and renewable electricity sources would save the US big bucks. If the US were to ban new ICE car sales by 2035, medium to heavy duty trucks by 2040, and shift its grid mix towards renewables, the report says it would save more than $1.2 trillion in public health benefits over the next 30 years. Additionally, the report says cleaner air would prevent more than 110,000 premature deaths, 3 million asthma attacks, and eliminate 13 million lost workdays due to people taking sick days because of air pollution. It's a report that I hope politicians read and act upon. As supply chain issues are exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, Tesla has found itself struggling to find parts for its solar roof tiles, and as a result, it's paused all installations of them. Tesla actually began to delay the installation of some solar roof projects last December, but as Electrek reports, it's now halted all new installation scheduling, and worse, some customers who are in the process of having their new solar roofs installed have been left with partial installs. While Tesla has made the roofs of customer homes weathertight for now with a dry-in layer, that layer of weatherproofing is meant to be installed underneath tiles and has a pretty short life when left out in the elements. Tesla says it's producing solar tiles at its New York facility, but it's not clear if it's making enough tiles to meet demand. With customers left in the dark over progress, it certainly doesn't look like it. Electric vehicles are often portrayed as a partisan issue in the political world, but the reality is, as we've noticed before, that support for electric vehicles is becoming a bipartisan thing. This week, ZETA, or the Zero Emission Transportation Association, a lobbying group that exists to represent the interests of EV and zero-emission vehicle companies on Capitol Hill, published the results from a national poll that plotted political affiliation with thoughts on EVs. It found that 79% of voters approve of incentives to support EV purchases and 69% support governmental investments in EV infrastructure. When asked what impact EV adoption would have on the environment, our health, jobs and the economy and vehicle safety, the overwhelming majority of voters, Democrat, Independent and Republican, said the impact would be positive. While the most negative thoughts were expressed by Republicans, it does show that EVs make sense to most voters. Arcimoto has officially published its fourth quarter and year-end results for 2021, showing increased production output, a slew of new models and R&D, but widening losses. Production output in the year nearly tripled compared to 2020, with 331 new vehicles rolling off the line. This might seem like a tiny amount, but it's worth remembering that to date, all production of the Arcimoto lineup has been by hand. With the newly renovated ramp production facility opened this year, the company says it hopes to ramp up to 50,000 vehicles per year in the near future. The company says its revenues were up 102% to $4.4 million last year, with a net loss of $47.6 million. That's equivalent to $1.30 adjusted per share. Along with the ongoing parts shortage that's hitting the entire automotive industry, there's been another challenge specific to EVs, finding the raw materials needed to produce EV batteries. Already constrained before the start of the year, the war in Ukraine and subsequent embargoes against Russia has meant that the price of nickel and other essential EV battery metals has soared. And while some battery firms and automakers are feeling the pinch, Bloomberg New Energy Finance disclosed this week that Tesla seems to have been saved from volatile pricing to some extent, essentially by making top-secret deals with other sources prior to the start of the year. One such example is a multi-year supply deal with Vale SA, which operates nickel mines in Canada. While Tesla hasn't made details of this agreement public yet, Bloomberg cites several people close to the deal who are currently remaining anonymous. Having multiple sources for raw materials, it is the smart thing to do. Coming up next, short shorts. But first, this quick message. While TE does have other income streams like third-party production work, the overwhelming majority of our income comes from folks like you. We have a team of 3 full-time and 2 part-time staff, and to make sure everyone carries on getting paid, we would love to increase our Patreon and YouTube membership. Right now, we've done the math. Less than 0.3% of our viewers help bring in 1/2 of our income. So just sit and imagine what we'd be able to do if just 1 or 2% changed and supported us. If just 1% of our viewers chipped in just $1 a month, we'd be able to do so much more. So how about it? On to the short shorts. The recent price hike for the entire Tesla range now means that the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y are no longer eligible for California's $2,000 clean vehicle rebate. The increase in price pushes them over the MSRP limits for cars and crossovers respectively. Automotive parts specialist Magna has announced a new facility in Ontario, Canada, where aluminium battery enclosures for Ford's F-150 Lightning electric pickup will be made. The new $40 million facility will create up to 150 jobs. Rolls-Royce eagerly showed off its upcoming Spectre electric car going through the last of its winter testing at the company's Swedish test facility. While it does make sense that even Rolls has to do some kind of winter testing, I'll doubt we'll see production cars dance on ice lakes in real life. A Model 3 owner trying to park their car in San Diego this week got the shock of their life when their car ended up being precariously balanced between a wall and the top of an ambulance. They'd hit the accelerator instead of the brake pedal, and their car went flying. Amazon has unveiled its first ever fully electric heavy goods vehicles for use in the UK on its delivery fleet. The 5 vehicles are DAF CF electric trucks and, says Amazon, will reduce emissions by up to 170 tonnes of CO2 per year. BMW has officially launched its all-electric BMW i3 eDrive 35L sedan. Now, I know what you're thinking. A second-generation BMW i3, but in this case it's an all-electric long-wheelbase 3 Series that will be made and sold exclusively in the Chinese market. The world's largest battery specialist for electric vehicles, CATL, has unveiled its 3rd-generation cell-to-pack battery tech. A structural battery pack, it claims less weight, improved safety and better charging over traditional modular-to-pack designs. In court filings with the SEC and federal court, Elon Musk has taken to paraphrasing Eminem's hit song, Without Me. As per Musk, the SEC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. Strange as it might seem, though, Eminem's battle with the FCC over censorship might just be a valid prior case. A new report from Ember shows that for the first time last year, 50 countries in the world got 1/10 of their electricity from wind and solar, while 10% of global electricity generated last year came from wind and solar sources. The grid's getting cleaner. On-demand car service, Kite, has announced a brand new Tesla subscription service that will let customers rent a Tesla Model 3, mileage, charging and service included, from just $995 per month. It's one way to skip the order queue, I guess. Chinese automaker NIU might have its heart set on being a direct competitor to Tesla in the EV marketplace, but this week it announced another competitor, Apple. According to the company's CEO, it wants to branch out and make smartphones as well as cars. VinFast has announced that it's chosen North Carolina as home for its first US production facility. The Vietnamese company unveiled the first 2 electric models from the brand last year at the LA Auto Show and promises series vehicle production will start in 2024. Less than a year after debuting the EV9 concept, Kia has confirmed it intends to bring it to Europe next year. The full-size SUV is destined for a North American launch, but given Kia's past EV launch schedule for North America, we may be in for a long wait. Rumours out of Germany suggest that Porsche is busy working with QuantumScape to integrate solid-state battery packs into the brand's iconic 911 sports car. Given Volkswagen AG owns significant amounts of QuantumScape, this is certainly a plausible rumour. As Nissan prepares its Ariya for launch in North America and Toyota does the same with the BZ4X, both companies are now perilously close to hitting the 200,000th plug-in vehicle limit that the US federal tax rebate for EVs has. So if you want one, act quickly. Shared scooter and e-scooter companies are reporting a massive increase in interest in e-scooters. As gas prices remain high, commuters are seeking alternative options to get to work that are both affordable and fun. And yes, we're going to be reviewing some scooters very soon. Bluebird Buses has announced it's received the largest order it's ever had for all-electric school buses. The order from Modesto City Schools in California totals 30 new Type D electric buses and will save the district $250,000 a year in fuel costs. GMC has confirmed it now has more than 65,000 reservations for its Hummer EV. While production has started and some vehicles are now being delivered, production needs to dramatically ramp up to meet demand. The Hummer pickup is now sold out through 2024. The Mayor of London's Energy Efficiency Fund has helped fund a fleet of 100 Tesla Model 3s that private hire and rideshare drivers will be able to rent from £324 per week. Startup Breathe will operate the programme. The most powerful electric scooter from NIU, the MQiGT EVO, has officially gone on sale in Europe and says the firm will soon be available to buy in the US too. It's designed to compete against 125cc underbone scooters and apparently can really hold its own. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles has confirmed its electric vehicle lineup won't stop with electric vehicles like the ID. Buzz Cargo and e-Crafter. The company confirmed this week that there are new commercial models currently in development, so watch this space. Volvo Trucks North America has just received a 110-vehicle order from global logistics company Maersk. The shipping firm is expanding its electric fleet, and the VNR Big Rigs will be delivered ready for deployment early next year. The Canadian government has modified its goals for carbon emission reductions, bringing forward its commitment to going all electric. However, Canada's plan defines zero-emission vehicles as vehicles that are capable of zero emissions, which does include plug-in hybrids. The London Electric Vehicle Company has officially announced its third dealership location in Sweden. While the company's primary market remains the UK, there's a market for zero-emission capable taxicabs across the whole of Europe, and Swedish demand is high. Truck company Scania is about to send an all-electric heavy-duty tipper truck down the LKAB mine in northern Sweden to test its suitability for underground zero-emission operations. If a success, we can expect this to be repeated elsewhere in the world. French supermarket chain Carrefour has announced it will be expanding its EV charging station program to include all of its locations across France. This means whenever you stop at a Carrefour, you can be sure of a place to charge as well. Taiwan has announced that it will phase out the sale of all new internal combustion engine vehicles, including cars, trucks and scooters, by 2040. The Taiwanese government says it wants the nation to be net zero emission by 2050. BP has confirmed this week that it will be investing a total of £1 billion into its UK charging infrastructure for electric cars. The BP Pulse brand, which was acquired when BP purchased the Polar network, will see more rapid charging stations deployed nationwide. As a direct competitor to that network, the UK government has dropped some pretty big hints that Tesla is readying itself to open up its supercharger network to non-Tesla EVs. Like mainland Europe, UK superchargers all use CCS connectors, so are already compatible with most EVs. We talk a lot on this channel about right to repair and the repairability of vehicles in our space, and this week Swedish e-scooter rental company Voi unveiled its newest scooter. It boasts more recycled parts and is allegedly much easier to repair. While it's currently rental only, expect similar models you can buy on the market soon, since its supplier is Ninebot. And those are your shorts. There will be more next week. When it comes to semi-autonomous driver assistance systems, it is fair to note that while they're all incredibly competent, almost uncanny valley at some times, they can also be pretty terrible once in a while. Most people, given some time behind the wheel, either learn to live with or hate their car's semi-autonomous systems. But one customer in Germany just won a court case against Tesla in which the automaker was forced to repurchase the claimant's Model 3. Why? According to the case, the customer purchased their Model 3 with full self-driving package, which, while not available in Germany right now, did give them access to some restricted autopilot features. And those features, well, the owner described them like a drunk first-time driver. I'll admit Tesla's autopilot isn't the best on certain sections of road, and I can understand the frustration, but this does feel like a proxy argument because the purchaser spent a lot of money on FSD, and it isn't available yet. And finally, like it or loathe it, Tesla does tend to set a trend in the automotive world. I mean, it helped make over-the-air updates common. It helped push the idea of car route planning for EVs. And by golly gosh, did it make the idea of a steering yoke seem slightly less weird. Since the Yoke was first debuted a year ago, we've seen other automakers toy with the idea in both concepts and production vehicles, and this week Aptera became the latest company to acknowledge that it will be selling its three-wheeled solar electric car with a yoke instead of a wheel. In its latest video update, the company showed off the latest iteration of its interior vehicle design, and the yoke is there for all to see. It's being sold as a more efficient solution, but honestly, I'm not sure if I like it. I saw a yoke from a distance under embargo when I was at Aptera a few weeks ago, and well, I would like to try it before I pass judgment. And on that note, we are done for the day. Before I go, a huge thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. They have been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and firmly believe that our future depends on us making the switch to clean, green electric cars today. The EVA can help you find someone near to you that can help you make the switch to electric. It can help you become an EV educator, and it can point you in the direction of monthly meetups for like-minded EV fans. And if you become a member, you'll gain access to a new clean energy and EV loan program set up between the EVA and the Colorado Clean Energy Credit Union. You can find out more by heading to electricauto.org. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell for this channel and our other channel, Transport Evolved Take 2. And if you're not already a channel member or Patreon supporter, please consider becoming one. Or you can send us a tip through Ko-fi, Bitcoin, or check out our cool swag store. You can buy a t-shirt like this. We'll be back soon with more awesome content, but until then, enjoy your weekend. And as always, keep evolving.